How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews back with another review, and today we have our friend Ryan in tow today.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing, guys? Ryan is from Brew Photo. Where can I find you on the ye old internets?
Brewphoto.com and Twitter, Instagram.
He takes amazing photos of amazing beer, and yeah, he wanted to say he sucked right there, but I'm not gonna let him say he sucks. But anyway, he brought this beer, which I've never heard of before from a brewery I've never heard of either. So you said you've tasted this before, right?
Yes, I tasted it a while back.
How long ago?
This was bottled in April, I think, or a little before that, and I had it pretty fresh, so right around there of this year.
It is La Cumbre Brewing Company out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and is their La Negra, which is a oak-aged Russian Imperial Stout. All that sounds delicious. 10.5% alcohol. Let's see, like I said, La Cumbre Brewing Company, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Government warning crap. And that's pretty much it. Not much else going on. Super ghetto gold cap. Ooh. It makes me love it even that much more. Label wise, it's cool. The artwork's very tattoo centric. It's got a crow with a like a Day of the Dead chick on it, Muertos chick on it. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit of refinement, but overall, it's a cooler label rather than a crappy label. But yeah, something about it. Just there's a lot of stuff going on in it, so it's pretty cool. You know, Aztec-y with the little symbol up here. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the label. We're going to talk about the beer. Let's get in there. I love it when I have a beer that I've... Oh, wow. That's black.
And called La Negra for nothing.
That's a Russian Imperial Stout. I love having beers that... There's no way I'd ever have this ever from anywhere ever. Unless it was from you, buddy. Because of, like, where it's from. It's probably, like... Everybody has in their area that brewery that they just think everybody knows about, but nobody does know about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And that's probably what this is for that.
Yeah.
You said you got it from a group of yours?
Yeah, like a beer acquaintance that it's basically his local brewery. I mean, it's a half decent sized brewery, but, you know, it's his local.
Nice. That is the Uber definition of a creamy head. It's like looks like ice cream up top there, like melting, Cool Whippy ice creamy coffee head, and it's dark. I would tell you what's going on inside, but there's no way to see because it's dark as dark could be.
Yeah, there's no light, nothing.
No,
nothing on the sides, nothing.
Let's take a huff. Roastiness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a ton of oaky though.
No.
I mean, it's there, but it's not like.
Bit...
From what you're telling me, you said it was rather oaky. I was expecting it to be like,
it was fresh. There's a little. You could get a little bit of the hops. I'm getting a little bit of hop.
I'm getting roasted malts, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of like dark chocolate, and just a little bit of oakiness. Not so too much.
I mean, in the 5 or 6 months, it could have calmed down. I was hoping that.
It smells delicious, though.
It does.
It smells like what I like Russian Imperial Stouts to taste like. There's two different ways about going to Russian Imperial Stouts. It seems like there's the traditional sense for me, for one I've had, which would be your Courage Russian Imperial Stout or your Destruce Black Albert or something like that, where there's usually a ton of hops in them, but they're super muted.
Right.
But then there's like your, I don't want to say American style, but typically American style Russian Imperials, like Old Rasputin and stuff like that, they're super hop forward. You know what I mean? So and there's no delineation between the two. They just say it's a Russian Imperial Stout. Sometimes you don't know what you're getting. This kind of smells like it's going to be more on the OG side of things, but we won't find out until we taste it. So let's drink. That's good beer.
It's gotten a lot better.
It definitely has. Beer. The oak's there.
Yeah, it is.
I said that you taste that, like, what is it, the tannin in it?
Tannins, yeah.
it more than the oakiness. It's just like, it's a good beer. That's a good beer.
Good.
How many of these you have?
That was the last. I got two. One
This
fresh,
second.
one.
Chug. Let's go as fast as you can. Come on.
I got two. One fresh, one day.
No, it's really nice beer. Nice mouthfeel, not super dense, super thick.
No.
But it's nice. Nice roastiness to it, but it's not overpowering.
No.
That oaky tanniness is a little bit above everything else, but it's nice. Just chocolate's there, coffee's there, but everything's, other than that little bit of oakiness there, that's like if everything was an 8, the oakiness is like a 9 or 10. It's like if you dialed that back a notch, it'd be perfectly balanced. And
it really smoothed out from when I first had it fresh. It was like
it's 10. It's what 10.5. It's like it tastes like a non-alcoholic beer. There's no booze in there whatsoever.
If you were to have this when I first had it, it was like the oakiness was like 11.
It was Spinal Tap oakiness.
It was Spinal Tap 11.
No, it's really nice. I mean, this is a really nice beer. Wow. I'd love to see. I mean, I'd love to see this at like 5 years old. Just to see what would happen.
I could throw out the, the old hey.
Hey, can we get more of that?
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing.
And I think I think they brew it pretty regularly.
If you instead of drinking it, if you sip it, and just roll it around in your mouth just a little bit, it's just crazy oaky. Like I can tell where you got the oakiness from. Like if you just like take a nice sip, switch it around, drink it. It's not as much oakiness, but I just took the tiniest sip, just kind of like little sip and roll it around. It was like oak craziness. Yeah, it's a really nice beer, and it just goes to show you, it's like I was saying earlier, it's probably one of those things where it's like that brewery. It's our Weyerbacher, our Fegley's,
right.
Our that smaller Saucony Creek kind of brewery probably to them, to where you're like, wow, I want more of this. To where I don't know, it's just weird because these beers are out there, but sometimes we overlook our local guys being like, oh, it's just those guys make these beers, and
I'm sure that's the same way they think about our, Weyerbacher and.
It's weird, not to get off topic. Do you ever do that? Because you do way more beer trades than I do. I don't know how to say it. What's like the beer you were like laughed at that someone wanted to trade for that you're like, I can't believe I'm trading this person this beer for this awesome beer. You know what I mean? Like I have people that were like, I want, typically West Coasters, they want Warlock or Pumpkin, and I'm like, for stuff that I'm like,
I've traded half decent beer to somebody in Philly for a Breaker beer.
But I can see that though.
But he wanted to like, I'm gonna give you this. He gets all kinds of beer, so he's just like, give me something local, give me a local beer.
Well, that's what I've been doing as of late. Instead of being like, I want this, because it really ultimately in the end is people. If you like a beer, if you wanted a beer right now, no matter what beer it was, if you really tried, you could get anything you want.
Pretty much, yeah.
In the end, I mean, you might have to pay top dollar outside of a trade, but even trading, like, you could probably even get it.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like this, and this is why I'm bringing the subject up, is stuff like this is what I'm trying to find. So, like, a person I'm going to be doing a trade with in the West Coast, at first it was like, they were asking me, because people who trade with, keep burping. People who trade with this person, since they live in San Francisco, they're always like, Russian River, freaking this, you know what I mean? All the heavy hitters. At first, and she's like, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? And I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking, I'm like, actually, I don't want any of that stuff. What I want is peanut butter on camera, for one. And two, peanut butter makes guest spots every now and then. So that's peanut butter with my cat. She hates beer and she hates everything other than me. And she still bites at me. But anyway, what I decided I'd do, instead of being like, I want the stuff, and be like, okay, here's a list, since this person knows about good beer. These are the beers that I typically really love.
Like styles?
Yeah. Styles or even brands. I'll be like, this specific beer from this specific company, and stuff, so you know what I really like. Send me the local stuff that I would never know about.
That's when you sometimes when you get a good repertoire between, like, you traded 2 or 3, 10 times with a person. Sometimes you just go local for local, and then you'll get some good stuff.
That's what I'm trying to get, because it's like Like, and that was my point, is that if you hear of a popular beer, you can get it.
Right, right.
I can't get a beer I don't know about.
You would have never known this existed.
I would never know. Yeah, I've never known this existed in my life ever, unless I went to this state and randomly stumbled across it for some weird reason, or some random photographer guy comes to my house with fancy beer. But that's what I mean. Like, that's what I'm trying to do now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna trade unless it's something I really sweating hardcore.
Right.
That I really want to get, and I know I can't get, and that person can't get it, which is actually nothing. I can't think of anything. Like, I don't sweat that stuff. I don't sweat Cascade. I don't sweat Russian River. I don't sweat those. I don't sweat those companies. Like, even the brewery, like the brewery high end stuff. I can get that. Really, I can get it around here. I'm sure I can drive to a store around here and get that stuff.
Right.
It's like certain breweries I'm starting to sweat right now. They're like Kunin. You ever have any Kunin beers out of Michigan? Like.
Oh yeah, I have. It didn't ring a bell, but yeah, I have.
Like certain, but I can't get them anywhere. So I'm starting to be like, okay, now I gotta find somebody who lives in Michigan. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that, but it's like not the bigger ones. Anyway, getting off topic. Back on the other topic that's technically off topic of local. There's so much good beer out there from local that we have no clue about, and it's. You can't, like, if they stumble across this, there has to be thousands of this around the country. Not that good beer is easy to make.
Right.
But there's companies out there that are just making such good stuff.
Yeah.
And you have no idea they exist.
And you probably will never know.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God. So, let's do that. Typically at the end of our show, well, first off, let's grade this before I get into that. Let's talk about it for a second before we go off on a tangent. Because we like this beer and we go on a tangent, so we're not giving it its attention it deserves.
Right. Get more and more chocolate.
Yeah. It seems like it's not that it was cold, but it's warming up a little bit. It's like dry chocolate, coffee, roasted malt. I mean, it's a Russian Imperial Stout in every sense of the word. Like you said, the only thing is that time dialed back that oakiness a bit, but it's still there. So that would, not that it's a negative, but if that was even a little bit less, it'd be like perfectly balanced.
A little more time would have.
I would give it a rating just based off of where it is right now. I'd probably give it like a 92.
Okay.
What would you rate it?
I was gonna go 89, 90. Okay. When I first had it, I was probably low 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, low 80s. But yeah.
Yeah. I give it like a 92. And cost availability and all that stuff, not available because obviously we just talked about how we can't get it. So yeah, really nice beer. La Cumbre Brewing Company, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Or Albuquerque, New Mexico. La Negra, Russian Imperial Stout, oak aged. Now, what I was gonna say. Typically at the end of the show, I do this whole thing where I'm like, leave comments and all that stuff. If anybody out there has local beer that they're like, why don't people like this beer? Please leave comments in the comment section below. I'm going to start doing that more often. Instead of saying leaving general comments, be like, if you think there's a beer that we should review, I'm not asking you to send me beer for free.
No, yeah.
You can do that, but...
You will be accommodated.
But, and that's the point. There's so much good beer out there, and it's almost impossible to figure it all out. So
I want the beer that's like, it's like a hole in the wall where the guy's, it's like a brew pub that nobody knows about. He's making beer and he's making a sandwich over here, but it's like fantastic beer.
There's a couple since I've been doing a YouTube beer review thing. I'm starting to find some of those. Like there's a beer I was turned on to by on Wednesdays. I typically take part in it's a Google Hangout kind of back and forth beer review thing with a bunch of guys who do beer reviews. And a lot of them from Canada. Albino Rhino is one of them, and a bunch of other guys. But they were talking about this brewery called Bellwoods. It's out of Toronto. They make what's called Bring Out Your Dead. The reason why I bring it up is it's Imperial Stout aged bourbon barrels, and it's supposed to be the best thing ever, and I can't get it now. So it's like because it's a seasonal like one release thing. So it's like when you start branching out there and you find these like tiny little things that pop up. But even like globally, like one of my favorite beers that I've ever had in my life is from this company. It's Smith's J. They make it's not that particular one. It's their Columbus. I never had it before, but my buddy went to Amsterdam to smoke weed and get tattooed, and he ended up finding it there. Like he was just drinking it there the whole time he was there, and then came back here, and then we ended up tracking it down from there. So it's like you go to different regions and you find these beers that you never heard of. Well, let's use YouTube as a vehicle for that. So if anybody out there knows of really good beers, whether it be halty, because that's a style of beer, malty, hoppy, anything in between, please let us know.
Good beer, just any good beer in general.
Yes, and we want to drink it. So yeah, another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you'd like to check us out on the internet, you can on Massive Beer Reviews. You can find us at Massive Beers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Way more active on Instagram. And you are?
Brewphoto.com and Brewphoto on Instagram and Twitter.
Twitter. Not Twitter. Twitter.
With an A.
Yeah, like you're from Boston. Anyway, yes, another review in the books. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're drinking just as good a beer as we are right now. And hopefully see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.